and it was a blueberry fig vodka.
So, hey, what's going on, everyone? Can you hear me? I bet so. Okay. Let me think. Something's going on today. Oh, I'm not in charge anymore.
Are we live?
He's in charge right now.
I'm not in charge. You run this thing.
You're in charge.
I'm just a pretty face in the front of the camera.
You're the face that runs the place.
I don't know about pretty though. I'm surprised you didn't say anything. I'm glad to be back, Eric.
He's pretty. He's so pretty.
I just so everybody realized, I told everybody in advance I was going to be gone for 2 weeks, but I've actually missed 3 weeks. The third week, I just literally forgot. Yes, I forgot. I planted my garden last Thursday.
He planted his feet and his butt in his lazy boy chair.
I was covered in dirt from head to foot.
He was covered in excuses and lies.
So I'm growing food. I'm growing food for everybody. Yeah, I got a pretty big garden, dude. I plant a lot of stuff, all by seed. Most of it all by seed. But yes, and I'll give some of it away because I grow more than I can eat.
He's a giver.
Yeah,
he's a giver.
Matter of fact, just a little plug-in, but I do it every year. So during the summer, if you check out our store, there'll be probably some free vegetables sitting on the table there for people because I do that every year. I bring in zucchini, squash.
Hey, your guest is here.
Oh, we have a guest.
You have a guest.
We have a guest.
Real quick, 3 seconds. Who wants to guess who it is?
Nobody gets to know.
Oh,
But he snuck in.
Okay, maybe 5 seconds.
Yeah. Well, after he gets settled, this is your chair right here. Right here, guest. Yep.
And
oh, we should at least, we didn't even do the introduction like we usually do.
Well, now that he's here, you can do the introduction.
We can do an introduction. There we go.
Here we are at the Warrior Healing Center for the Veteran Business Network, the Veteran-Owned Business Network.
Yes.
I messed
Punchy
it.
spotlight.
I already messed it up already. So,
Hi.
I'm Robert.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Josh.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Because I got your business card right
Here
here.
we go. We got a few around town.
And so yeah, we got to guess. I've been gone.
Okay.
Eric's been handling everything by himself for the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Back.
But I'm back. Thank you.
Back. Where'd you
And oh, I had to go TDY to Fort Polk for a while, and then last week I just was gardening. Forgot.
So I've been doing a lot with the girls.
All right, there you go. He's a gardener.
Yeah, I only have twin girls, so I do a lot of stuff with them.
Okay.
Try to keep them.
Yeah. Well, it's important.
Oh yeah.
You don't know. There might be a day where we have to grow our own food, and I'm not. And I say that not jokingly. I've been gardening for years, and always thought, if that day ever comes, I want to be able to know how to grow my own food.
Right. Yeah. Actually, a few years ago, I taught my godson, and he hated it at the time because he's a teenage boy and he wants to sit there and do that stuff.
Yeah.
But now he looks back on it, he's like, you know what? All right. He knows how. I can send him off. He can do his own thing, and then anything happens, I have complete faith that he can take care of the garden now.
Well, you're doing better than me because my kids did not follow in my footsteps. Well, my son blames me because I made him help me in the garden when he was little, and now he doesn't want to look at the garden. Or, well, he'll look at it, but that's it.
Yeah.
And my daughters are like, yeah, Dad, that's your thing.
Yeah. No,
They're all grown up.
Yesterday, actually, I didn't want a garden, and they dragged me outside too, and I'm like, all right.
I know, Eric, Ruby, Jade, you don't listen to this podcast, I know, but a lot of times Jessica does. Maybe you could pass this on. Did you hear what this man said? His daughters are in the garden with him, actually dragging him out to the garden.
Very much so.
To work. I just want to make that point. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's introduce you. Joshua Mayer.
Yes.
Pronounced correct?
Yes.
Are you ever going to run for mayor?
I thought a long time ago when I was in high school, I did have a slogan.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say it online now because it's a little bit offensive. But I did have plans on running in 2032, and that was just a high school dream.
Right.
But you know,
Offensive? You can't whisper in my ear, you know.
we'll do it offline.
Offline. I get to hear it later. You don't get to hear it. Okay. So I mean, not to make fun of your name, but it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Mayor. Not Eric. Nothing to say. Nothing. I'm not putting down the current mayor of Sierra Vista.
Not talk down Cleo over there.
No, but I'm just saying. You know, maybe in the future, mayor. He's still young.
Yes.
He's got plenty of time.
He's honeymooning.
Yeah. And you are in real estate.
Yes, I am.
And first of all, I'm going to tell you, your card's awesome.
Thank you.
I mean, this
very
is
much.
honestly one of the best business cards I have seen. I don't think, I'm going to try to real hard to get it on this. Let's see how good it. No,
I
that
think it's
doesn't work.
blurry.
Too blurry. We can't do it, can we, Eric? This is a super nice card. Oops, and I just dropped it. I mean, you got a photo on there.
Let's put it this way: if you're blind, you can read it like it's braille.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a really nice card.
Thank you.
That's very
It
impressive.
took me way longer than it probably should have because I was a little bit of a perfectionist on it. But yeah.
Yeah, no, the design, the
Thank you very
colors,
much. That
the
makes-
photo, everything. I mean, that is envious.
yeah. The QR code in the back works as well. It takes you right to my contact information that link me to my email, Facebook, Instagram.
Oh, so you're
All
all
that stuff.
modern and high tech too.
Got it nowadays.
Yeah. And so you are an Army veteran.
Yes,
Says
sir.
right here. And so you served in, what was your job? Your MO?
I was a UAV operator. Started
Oh.
off as a 96 uniform, and then we changed. I think it was 35 mic for like a week or two. I can't
35
remember.
Mike is my unit.
It was weird.
There's some other
It was
thing.
something.
They
It
said
was
they-
like 2 weeks that we did not have an MOS while we were in Iraq. We were just spinning the wheel. We
well,
couldn't
they
figure
got to
out-
change everything. You know how the
Yeah.
Army is. They got to change
And
everything.
now they're 15 whiskeys.
Yeah.
And that, but we were MI, and then we were aviation, and then we were MI, and then we were aviation, and then nobody wanted us for a while. So we didn't have anyone in charge of us.
So were you an actual pilot?
So, yeah, we picked it up from there. We piloted over there.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's a pilot, right?
Okay.
Come a little closer.
Mhm.
All right.
Oh, is he too far back? Yeah.
I got the word from God.
I got you.
I got to tell you my UAV story then.
Okay, what you got?
So Desert Storm, I was
Okay.
in the 82nd, and back then we called them Romeos.
Mhm.
They were the guys that put the ground sensors in the ground.
96 Romeos. We replaced them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, that really, I didn't know that. This
Yeah.
fits.
Yeah.
So, this friend of mine, his nickname was Doc Holliday
Right.
because
Okay.
his name was John Holiday.
Okay.
John Holliday's a special forces guy in Kentucky now, and works for the governor. Anyway, pretty cool guy. So he's a Romeo.
Right.
And Desert Storm, they had this new toy.
Yeah.
It was one of the prototypes UAVs out there, right? Now we can't even call them UAVs anymore. Now they have to be UAS.
UASs.
Yeah. See, they have to change everything.
took
I'm
me a
calling
while.
them a UAV because I'm sticking with the old name.
Took me a while to change too.
Yeah, I'm not changing. Man, UAV. I get tired of the Army changing everything. Anyway, so they grab his Doc Holliday. He's a Spec 4
Right.
Romeo and said, "You're going to fly this thing." And he's like, "You're kidding. I don't know anything about it." Well, we don't have pilots yet, so you're going to fly it. So you can imagine they're out in the middle of the desert in
Yep.
Saudi Arabia. And they got generals and all these stars and colonels and everybody out there to witness this big event of,
Yeah.
he lost it.
Oh yeah.
It flew off into the distance. And they, of course, had armies of people searching the desert for this thing. I don't think they ever found it.
Yeah.
But it
I
just
love-
shows it just shows you how fast things have progressed. At that time, that was
So that was in the 80s. So when I joined in 2005, and that was one of the last 96 Romeo classes that they took.
oh really?
And I remember because in AIT, or basic at Fort Sill, we went from Fort Sill to here, and there was maybe like 28 of us. 14 or 16 of us were all UAV guys, so we all actually stuck together from Fort Sill to Fort Huachuca to Fort Hood to Iraq. the whole time we were together. But we also came with a bunch of Romeos down here. And when they got here, they found out they didn't have an MLS. But they had already signed that contract because they were all phased out. All the E6s and 7s that were there, they were getting reclassed to 96 uniform.
You're like,
Romeo's
you got a
completely
new
wiped
job.
So
Remember those things you put in the ground? Well, now you're going to be up in the air.
And I remember one of my buddies, he because he had signed a contract as a Romeo, and now they completely null and voided it. He was able to kind of get his pick of wherever he wanted and what he wanted. I don't know what he did, but all of a sudden he's running around with a really nice car, so got a nice bonus out of it.
Wow. Wow, that's it. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That just connected everything for me. Why would they pick a Romeo? So they
It was the
already
same
had
thing.
that plan in
Because
advance.
back then, and still to this day, there's they have a laser spotter on there, right? And all that is back then and still now, it may have changed. I've been out of the game for a few years. It's an infrared flashlight. You can only see it if you're wearing your nods. So
We're not going.
Yeah.
We're not going over classified stuff.
yeah,
Are we?
no,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
all. That's all
Just
simple
checking.
stuff.
Just checking.
It's
we don't
just-
want to shut down. We don't want guys
Yeah.
in the black. The guys in black showing up.
No.
No.
It's just a regular infrared you can see with your nods. So that was basically the same thing that the Romeos used to do. The Romeos used to, climb in there, get behind enemy lines, find whatever tank building, whatever, sit up their little camera thing like this, point at it with their laser, and then something would fly in and blow it up. And then
Mhm.
they'd have to sneak on out. That's
Yeah.
essentially what a Romeo, I mean, I'm sure there's more to it than that.
They
That's
humped
the
a lot.
Hollywood.
The only difference is, they had to hump
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Now with flying
Just fly
UAVs,
in.
they can stay in the back.
Yep.
And then I bet a lot of them would
And
happy.
then the same thing, eventually the UAVs phased out the Kiowas. That's why the Kiowas got phased out, and all the Kiowa pilots kind of
Yeah.
transitioned out because we started taking their place as well. We didn't have armaments, but we were able to get there and call in other people for the smaller UAVs, and then the bigger UAVs, the bigger ones have 4 Hellfires plus.
I don't know if I was a Romeo at the time and they said, "Hey, we got a new job for you, and you're not going to have to hump a rucksack with all that equipment for miles."
Oh yeah,
I'd be like,
We
"Really,
had-
really?"
we had a lot
Okay.
of 6s and 7s had to reclass from Romeo life over to uniform life, and it was a huge. It was a lot of fun.
They're like, "I just have to sit." in
Yeah,
one
it was a lot of
spot."
fun because they were in that humping life, and we're like, hey, we don't gotta do that anymore,
Wow.
But back then, it was a lot different than it is now. Back then on the shadow system, you had to roll onto site, and from the time you had put your parking brake on, you had to have an aircraft off the rails within 60 minutes. Nowadays, that's feasibly impossible.
Yeah, because I got to admit, because when I got to the 82nd, we did our first 12-mile ruck that we did, and I did really good on it. But I had a number of Romeos that kicked my butt, and I was in great shape back
Like I
then.
said.
Not like now. Don't look at me now. Imagine me really, nice
Right.
tight waist, big muscle. No, they kicked my butt.
Well,
Those
it's-
guys.
If you think about it, they were, and this is Hollywoodizing them, I guess, but they were essentially snipers. But they would do the same thing. They hike in there. They had to get behind enemy lines to paint said target wherever it was,
Mhm.
and then they had to get out.
Mhm.
without-
Yeah. Yeah.
So like they're not as popular.
We
as
called them
the-
the grunts of MI.
Yeah.
That's what we called them all. You guys are the grunts of MI. Anyway, so they moved on. That's an interesting because I never understood why they picked him. Now I do.
Yeah.
Until you told
I
me
mean, it's
that.
the same
I
thing
didn't know
because
that.
they had to set up the cameras, and it was, they had to put in frequencies for lasers and stuff like
So
that.
they already had the technical aspect
Right, yeah.
experience. They
A
just
little
didn't
bit.
know how to fly the damn thing.
Right.
That was, and he lost it. And and
I've lost a few as well.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Yeah, but with all that brass, yeah, it's a big show. Yeah. Desert
Yeah.
Storm, it was like a big deal.
Yeah, I lost
Yeah.
one at NTC, got that one back. Lost one in Afghanistan, never got that one back. Like never.
Oh, that's all right. We like giving stuff to
That
the
disappeared.
Afghans anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't say that, did I? We like giving the military equipment to the Taliban anyway. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I think it was
You didn't say it twice.
How did we just switch?
Man,
I was on this side.
It
Well,
is-
see, we were playing a game with the audience to see who could catch reverse day. Nobody caught it, so nobody wins a prize.
I caught it. but I would get a
You're the
prize.
host. You win nothing.
I win.
You win. Your win is to be here with Josh today and exploring the past, the present, the future. So
I just
have
realized.
at it, kid.
Yeah, you just switched us. I was like, wow.
Yeah, because now I can read RME instead of EMR.
So did you retire?
Nope, I got out. I did my 7 years, 3 months, and then they were like, by the time we get you into the reserves, you're gonna be out anyway. So they waived my last I think it was 8 months, 17 days.
Okay.
For it, but I did. I was in Fort Hood, and then from
I'm
there,
sorry.
yeah. I remember my very first day. I'll never forget my very first day in processing. They're like, "Welcome to Fort Hood, yada yada yada. This is a great place." Bullshit. Just let you know, on E6 last night, got taken outside of the club, stripped down, butt naked, and shot execution style on the back of the head.
Yeah.
Welcome to Fort Hood.
Yeah. What is going on at Fort Hood?
Oh, this was back in 05, so I don't know what's going on now.
I mean, you always hear about
They were doing that in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
something's wrong.
And I was
with
like,
that
I just
place.
left California and stuff.
Something's wrong with that place. They're going to change the name though.
I think they already did.
I just heard they changed the name.
I was
Of
talking about
Bragg. Bragg is now Fort Liberty. Did you hear that?
It's
Fort
something like
Liberty.
that. It's Liberty or Freedom. Or one of
I heard Liberty.
Liberty.
Yeah.
There's a Liberty, a Freedom. I think there might be an Integrity. I don't know. It's hard to keep track right now.
Yeah.
I'll just wait for the dust to settle and try to figure it out then.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the Army has changed names of everything.
Oh,
To the next
Yeah.
sensitive person.
Yeah, exactly.
They always, you got to get those officers get those points, so they come up with a new name.
It's
And
a good idea.
Yeah, well, it's the same idea, but we just revamped it and
Yeah.
gave a new name, so I get some points for it. But anyway,
Good idea, fairies all day long.
yeah. So you did your time in the Army. You realized that you needed to have a new career.
Yep.
And so, how did you pick real estate?
Well, I just actually got into real estate about 2 years ago. So,
Okay. Did you do something else before that?
So yeah, after I got out of the Army, I went overseas with the Royal Marines, and I was working with the PTIDs, the blimps, and actually found out the Royal Marines are an absolute blast.
The who?
Royal Marines, the British Marines.
I was going to say you.
Yeah,
Sounds British.
Yeah.
Either that, I was thinking Canadian,
yeah.
because it could have been Canadian too.
Now the Royal Marines, so the British Marines, and I found out those guys make our Marines look like some soldiers, because I saw those guys do stuff that I was like,
Really?
y'all know that we definitely should not. All right, y'all do your own thing.
Really?
They're a fun bunch. The Royal Marines, they were a great group of guys. I was there for about 6 months, and then that was during around budget cuts and all the layoffs and furloughs that they were doing for the government. The walls were coming down a lot faster than I felt comfortable, especially being there as a non-armed civilian. So I was like, yeah, it's time to hightail it out here. So got out of that.
And where were they again?
We were in North Afghanistan. They were in northern Afghanistan.
Oh, this was all in Afghanistan with
Yeah,
the
they were-
with the Royal
Yeah.
Marines.
They were in northern Afghanistan. I couldn't remember any of the bases because we jumped around a bit. But I was just doing the blimps, the PTIDs, and I think that system is amazing.
Would you match them up to like our SEALs or something?
No, I just think it would be like our Marines in there. I think they would give our Marines a good run. They make our Marines look like Army soldiers. Okay, like that. Just
Oh, and so what are you
Yeah.
saying? Army soldiers aren't as good as Marines? Gunny loves that.
yeah.
Gunny, you
Hey.
hear what he's saying?
Hey, I'm an Army soldier, but Marines, they have that. There's levels to this.
Did it?
And they get into that once they turn that mentality on. They get that Marine mentality. That's Army soldiers aren't touching that Marine mentality.
True.
Whether it's because of all the crayons they eat or because how smart they are, there's a line.
Yeah.
But Marines have that higher level that once they hit it, no one's touching that level.
Yeah.
They
Well,
can
when
take
you're in the 82nd, it's kind of like
You
back
could
in
say
my
that,
day,
yeah.
there was a little that competitive thing with the Marines.
Right.
Like, okay, Marines, 82nd, who's. But I'll tell you what, when we first got deployed, because we were the first ground unit
Mhm.
at Desert Storm, the 82nd, and we got there, and we're like, okay, who else is here? Because we heard Saddam had 4,000
Yeah, yeah.
tanks and all this stuff, and we're a bunch of paratroopers, and we heard there were some Marines up north,
Yeah.
closer to the border. We're like, we like the Marines. We really like them now. At least they're the first guys
First
to
ones
get
to
it.
get it,
Yeah. So all of a sudden you appreciate them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. No.
those are the guys that got in the ground before we did.
Yeah.
And they're up there north. Okay. Anyway, so
So, yeah, I
you did
that.
this,
I did
which
that for-
sounds like it was a trip. That
Yeah,
would
it
be
was
fun.
It was fun. Like I said, the PTIDS, that's the blimp. It's the camera on that thing is like it's the equivalent of what you see like when you're watching NFL games. You know how like when they zoom in on someone, you'd be like, man, I could see every single whisker on that guy.
Yeah.
That's the same thing, but I can see it from like a mile out.
Wow.
Because it's fiber optic too, and the fiber optic cable is like this thick. So I think it's just getting the data on it is huge.
Well, now
You
we
know?
don't. We have worried about the guys in black. Now we
No,
got
it's just-
now the Royal Marines are. I'm just
It's
kidding.
just fine.
The Royal. If they come in the
it's
door,
They, but
Eric will take care of them.
right?
Yeah.
The video is just so clear. So like we're able to see, like far out, and these guys, good. We're only over a local area, but we can see everything, and we can zoom in and be like, I mean, I can't read lips, but I can read lips if I wanted to, because you can see such in detail on some of these guys.
Wow.
So that was a blast. And then like I said, the walls came down too quick. Came home, decided I wanted to be a physical therapist assistant until that didn't work out. So then I got a gig on post teaching the drones again. So I got back into the UAV program.
Gotcha.
And I was teaching the Gray Eagle, and then I was teaching the Shadow system out over on Fort Huachuca for about 4 years.
What's it called? Black
Tower?
Black Tower.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, I was on Libby and Black Tower. I was qualified on both and teaching both. Did 2 years with Gray Eagle, then 2 years on Shadow. And then had neck surgery in 2020, and I just never went back. And I started doing real estate about 2 years ago.
Wow, that was COVID time.
Yeah.
You should have held on to it, and you could have worked from home for 2 years.
Well, I had to get neck surgery. They had to fuse my C4, C5, C6 and replace some discs. So I worked all the way up until basically right before my surgery on post. They luckily I had some great DACs and civilians that really went to bat for me and helped me keep my job on post, because technically I shouldn't have been up there because I was getting surgery and I was on a lot of medicines at the time for my pain.
And you are an actual pilot.
No, I was on the Sims.
Oh,
at
you're
that
not.
time.
Oh, okay.
At that time, they kept me straight Sims, so I never touched a live
simulations.
aircraft. I
Okay.
didn't touch a live aircraft for a while because I was needing that surgery. So, like I said, I had a good support system out there that made sure I was able to keep my job, because technically they could have fired me because I wasn't able to do both sides. But when I was, before I had to get my surgery, I was flying. You fly the aircraft, take soldiers up, teach them how to fly. It was a blast.
Now, somebody must have helped you get into this, or did you just do it all on your own?
One of my friends, she was over at Haymore. I actually went to her husband and me, go way back from the UAV field, Iraq and stuff like that, working on post. She's a very close family friend of mine, Lisa Chavez. If she's watching, I doubt it. But she got me into Haymore.
Wait, what's her name again?
Lisa Chavez.
Thank you, Lisa Chavez, for helping a fellow veteran.
Yep.
Right?
Her husband.
She helped a fellow veteran, and that's what we're all about here at the Warrior Healing Center. I mean, I'm joking, but not joking.
No, that's what we're
Because
here
that's
for.
really helping each other is
Yeah.
what this whole podcast is about.
Yeah.
Is helping veterans help other veterans.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, she put
and
me
you
in.
got to get a start.
Yeah, especially at
Yeah.
Haymore. A lot of the other realtor you can just walk into. You can do that with Haymore, but it also helps out because Haymore has been one of the oldest and smallest groups. We only have roughly 50 agents,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not Long Realty, which is nationwide.
Right.
Keller Williams.
It's
nationwide.
local.
EXP. No, we're literally family owned.
Yeah.
By Gary Haymore.
Yeah. Haymore is
So
locally.
he's been here forever. He started off in Douglas, so it's family owned. So it definitely helps me. She vouched for me to get in there, to get that interview and stuff like that. So it's like, yes.
Took a lot of work, I bet. You have to get your license.
Yeah, the licensing. So there's a 90-hour course that you have to take, and at the time it was COVID, so they're offering the online courses and do at your own pace.
Oh, that made it nice.
No,
No?
that was an absolute terrible idea, and I regret that entirely.
Really?
Yes. So
That's interesting.
coming from an instructor, because I was teaching before this, and I've always loved teaching. Even when I was active, I was always trying to do anything teaching. the class that was offered, because it was at your own pace and you had to have 90 hours, every slide was timed. So you would have a 3-minute slide of the definitions that you got to learn, right? So you're like, okay, cool. Still got 2 more minutes. After 2 minutes passes, or however long that slide is timed out to, it goes to the next slide where it will just have an individual read the slide over. Not explain it, not go into depth. It was literally just reread what was on the slide right before for another 3 minutes. It drove me absolutely.
And you're like, okay, you know, I could appreciate that because, okay, so college, I went to college in the 80s before computers were a big thing, right? And there was no such thing as well, there was the internet, but it was only at like universities and government. That was it. There was no public internet. We still typed our handwritten papers. But my experience going to a university, I can't imagine doing online. Because I got to, I mean, you build personal relationships with your professors, with your fellow students. You see them in class, out in between class. You have discussions and interactions with other human beings. You go to a library. I'm big. I mean,
what's a library?
Fresno State had a 3-story library. I mean, it was huge. And you went in there and you went and hunt for books.
Yeah.
And then when you found one, you're like, oh, look what I found. And you took it off the shelf. Oh my God, look at this. This is what I've been looking for. It was a whole different experience than just going on.
Nowadays, it's just everything on here.
Yeah. I don't think I could do it. I personally don't think I would like it. So I could appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah, it drove me crazy. Just again, coming from that instructor mentality beforehand, it was just like, it was just like, this isn't how you teach. You know, you can't just. This is what a real estate loan is. Da 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 da. Yeah. Next slide. Real estate loan. Da 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 da. That's all it was. It was like, give me more in depth. Come on, like why do we need this? Why do I need to know? What's give me some examples to drive it home.
I got a question.
You know?
Can you answer my question?
So it was just
but you got through it.
90 hours of that.
But you got through it.
So the first test I failed.
Oh, good.
And then so there's a lot of math questions.
Wonderful.
Questions, right?
Why is there math? Oh, I guess
real
because
estate commissions, you gotta do acreage and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So very first question is a math question, right? And I have my calculator and I go to grab it. I can't have phones because it's all proctored and stuff like that. And my calculator's dead.
Oh God.
So automatically I'm like, well, I'm just gonna skip all the math questions because I'm not even gonna try to do some of this math, write it out. And I missed it by one question.
Really?
So then I was like, bump that. I'm going to take it again, fix my calendar. I'll pass it if I only missed it by one. Yeah. And then I bombed the second one because obviously, you know, that's how it works.
Really?
Yeah.
So you did better the first time without the calculator.
Yeah.
So if you would have taken the time to do a little math on paper,
just a little bit,
maybe one of those math, you would have passed the first time.
So then the third time I got it. And then when I had to go, and that was just for the school test. You have to pass the school test. And then after that, that gives you permission to take the state test.
God, oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yes. And then once you do the state test, is 3.5 hours. 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Something like that. Forgot how many questions it is. That one, I wasn't going to play around with. I was like, this is going to be one bang, one and done, right? So I started at the beginning. If I read the question, if I knew the answer, cool. If I read it and I had not even the smallest idea, next. I just did that. And then I started back at the beginning. Now it took maybe 30 seconds longer to read those questions, right? Double checked it. Did that all the way. Went back, maybe now spend a minute on the questions. And then I started at the very last question and went my way backwards. And I did that. I think I finished the test with like 2 minutes to spare. But I passed. I was like, I'm not doing that because you had to go up to Tucson.
So now you're giving away some maybe too much secrets to your audience.
Oh no, that's what
that if he shows up, if he shows up as your real estate agent, make sure that his phone is working.
Yeah. Well, I got the calculator on here.
So he can do that. Do you just ask him? Do you have a calculator with you?
Oh, yeah.
And if he does, you're good. No, just Yeah, it's yeah, a lot of work. Sounds
Yeah.
like a lot of work. But you got through it.
Yep.
And you've been doing it for 2 years now.
Coming up on, yeah, because I might actually have to renew here next month. I'm gonna renew my license. So 2
Okay.
years will be next.
Do you have to take another test?
No, I just
Oh,
gotta renew my
just
license.
renew it.
Yeah, I have
So
to-
it's a one-time deal.
for the test, I do have
For
to
the
do. There are 24 continuing education courses you have to have
Oh,
throughout the 2 years. You
So
can't
you're-
just get stagnant in the field.
Okay.
You have to keep continuing education.
Really?
So, and they range, there's requirements. It's not just like, all right, go take 24 hours worth of any class. You got to take fair housing classes, government policy classes,
Wow.
contract
So
classes.
you're constantly, as a real estate agent, taking
Constantly.
classes,
Yes.
keeping up to date on
You have to.
everything.
There's
Wow.
constantly things changing. We just had, oh God, last month or a month or two ago, we just had a big change to one of the forms that we use, like for every home loan that we ever do. Every time we sell a house, this form is on there, and this form just got updated. Last year, there's a new form that came out for solar. If you have a house that's solar, there really wasn't a form. The form that was, it was just like a little spot like this big on the purchase contract that started talking about it. Now there's an actual form that goes for solar that's going to discuss whether it's leased, owned, if it's the condition, all these different things. So
So the stack's
changes
getting
'cause-
bigger and bigger.
yeah, there's more.
Because you go
and
buy a
more
home,
stuff.
even I bought my home in 2011, and it was already a stack. I imagine today it's probably twice as big.
Mike, I'll look up that property for you in a bit. I told you I'll get to it. I'll get to it, Mike.
I didn't hear back.
Mike wants me to look up a property for him. Mike was there.
Oh,
One of
okay.
Mike was there shows on Friday mornings.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, he usually joins us a lot here on Thursday nights. We
Yep.
appreciate him. Don't we? Don't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. I'll be looking up that property when I get home, Mike.
Wow. I didn't know all this. That sounds like too much work. I don't want to be a real estate agent.
It has its ups because the best thing about it for me is I'm able to make my own hours, and that's a big plus for me because I'm a stay-at-home dad for the most part. My wife, she's with the Leon team over at Cross Country Mortgage, so she actually takes care of the loans, and I buy the houses.
Oh, that's nice.
So it works pretty good, generally.
And there is that nice thing about being,
Yeah.
well, you're independent in a sense.
Yep, I'm
I'm going to imagine it's kind of like my son's into insurance.
Mhm.
I never thought my son would be into insurance, but he got into it. He works for, independent,
Mhm.
but it's Aflac. And so they do have supervisors
Right,
and managers, but you're not an employee. You're an independent.
He's a 1099.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But still, they have meetings
Yeah.
and they oversee how you're doing
Oh, yeah.
and
No,
everything.
we have
So,
monthly meetings at
yeah.
Haymore. I'm actually constantly either at my Haymore office or I'm been a lot more frequently over here at the Warrior Healing Center, trying to get some big things coming up here in the next month or so, trying to get some things moving around.
But he does enjoy the freedom. They
Yeah,
use it
let's-
because he has the
let's
same
put it-
freedom. He can, if there's a day he says, you know what,
Yeah,
today I'm not working because I got other stuff to take care of.
exactly.
There's the freedom to do that,
Today
you know.
let's say I went to the office for about an hour. Then I went and picked up my son from the babysitter to take him to his doctor's appointment. Then I dropped him off at the doctor's appointment, went to the Warrior Healing Center because we had our volunteer meetings this afternoon. After that, went and picked up some food, picked up my daughters from school, went home, and I think we were watching Avengers today. That's what I put on because I was tired. I was like, I need stuff. I need to get prepped for this. So I put on Avengers and let them go. But you know, it's amazing. The fact that some days I'm like, yeah, I'm just not gonna go. I'll just stay at home, work at home, do whatever I need to do at home, design whatever ads I'm working on, look at properties for Mike.
And when you
know,
decide
stuff
you
like
need
that.
to make a little more money, you just work a little harder.
Yeah,
You're like,
right
okay,
now,
I haven't sold a house in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe this week I better
I've
maybe
been
work a
trying.
little harder.
It's hard right now.
I
The
know.
market is definitely
The interest rate.
It's not so much the interest rate. It's right now. It's just people are a lot tighter with their money.
That
And
too.
The thing is that it's still
That
a seller.
too.
It's still a seller's market. Their inventory is still low. Prices are still high. People still need houses and want houses. The thing is that people can't afford those houses, even with the interest rates. Interest rates are kind of back to normal. They're fives. It's not as bad as,
so it's come down a little
Yeah,
bit.
but-
Okay,
last I checked, it was in the 5s. I may be mistaken.
that's not terrible then. No,
No,
that's
we're-
not terrible.
We're, depending on
big-
your credit, it might be a little higher, but they're 5s.
I'm real big on when I purchase anything big, a house, car.
Yeah.
The first thing I check, what's my interest
Oh
rate?
yeah, you got it.
Because that's
Well,
big. Because I don't
last
want to pay
year-
interest
Last
at all.
year, if you had, I forgot exactly what the numbers were. These numbers are probably gonna be off, but for example, last year it was if you had $100,000 home at the interest rate from last year at 2% to $100,000 loan at 5%, your mortgage is almost $1,000 difference.
Yeah.
It was something like that. I forgot exactly the numbers, so don't quote me on them.
And I was
It's bad as
even-
math. But that was only from 2 to 5. Now, right now, a lot of things are coming out. Like, it's one of those things that's not known, but did you know that all VA loans are assumable?
Or what?
Are assumable.
Oh, somebody else can take it over?
Doesn't matter whether or not they're a vet or not. It is assumable.
I did not know that.
Yeah. As long as you have the credit to match that loan, and you don't have to be a vet. That loan, it is assumable.
Wow.
I actually just found that out today because we had a kind of a little debate the other day about it, and I looked it up to verify it. And you go on to va.gov. Says all VA loans are assumable, whether you were a vet or not. You just have to qualify for it. So that's a big selling point for vets if they want to sell their house, because they'd be like, hey, because that's a big problem right now is people can't afford it because of the interest rates. If you can sell your house and be like, hey, I got a 2% interest rate.
Right.
Come
Right.
on down.
Yeah. Well, I just watched an interview earlier this week with Elon Musk,
Okay.
and he was asked about the banking, collapse of the banks, and he got into that, and he sounds like a pretty smart guy, Elon
For
Musk.
the most, I mean,
But
he's
he
smart, maybe not stable.
yeah,
right?
but he talked
Who's that
about
one?
the interest rate being an issue because, if I'm especially for a first home buyer, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I can afford $1,500 a month total. That's what I can afford
Yeah.
with my insurance and my
All the
mortgage and
things.
my taxes all together.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well, now if the interest rate's higher, then obviously you have to lower the amount of the mortgage.
Yep.
If you're going to pay $400 or $500 in interest, and you go, okay, I
you
can
start
only
seeing
find,
everything
I
else.
can only afford a $900 mortgage to get where I need to be. So what can I buy for $900? Where before,
Yep.
you're looking at, well, what I can do a $1,200 mortgage instead of $900. So he was explaining how that makes a big difference. So, but you're right about the people are tight with money.
Yeah.
We've seen it in our business.
Oh, it is what it
We
is.
we actually did better during COVID.
I think everyone did.
We did much better.
It's one of those things. A lot of businesses, real estate, obviously, that was some of the best years when I missed it.
Really?
Yeah, I got in. I got in at the very tail end. I was able to ride the last of the waves.
So it was.
I had a good year last year, and I had a good end of the year before. This year's been a little bit slow on me, so I'm trying some new tactics. Got some new advertising going out.
Yeah.
New stuff.
Yeah. No.
You gotta do anything you can.
2019 was a bad year for us, and then 2020 and 21 we did much better. We never closed because we're food, so we never closed our store. People were supporting our business, and then COVID ended, and last year it went down. But we saw it. It was right when we had a great Valentine's, because we always do really good.
It was right around summer, huh?
No, before that.
Right?
So we had
Summer's when mine dropped.
a really good Valentine's Day. Valentine's always big.
Shopping.
Christmas and then the gas thing happened
That's
at the end of February.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Because so I had a property for sale, right? We put it up for sale the end of May. That was when the market was ridiculously hot. Like we were getting like told like, look, list it as high as you possibly can, because right now buyers are paying for anything. They'll pay for everything. So I talked to my seller. I'm like, look, the price that I keep coming up with does not make sense. There is absolutely no reason in HE double hockey sticks that this property should ever sell for this price. But we're gonna try it. And he was like, "Do you want to try it?" And he was completely down with it. He was supportive of it. And I was like, "Okay, we're asking a lot." Put it up in the end of May. I didn't have one showing until the middle of August. Not one person went and saw that property.
Wow. And that was 22.
That was last year. That was last
That
summer.
was
So
when
it was the gas prices, summer break. Obviously, everyone's gone, but no one was gone because gas prices were so dang
and
expensive.
gas, and then with the gas, everything else went up.
So everything. So
You know?
it was really weird. I didn't have anything until about the middle of August, and then I started getting some showings here and there. Got under contract for a little bit. Got pulled out of contract. We lowered the price. We ended up lowering the price $90,000 by the time we sold it, and that was original. That was the
Wow.
price that we were. I told him, like, that's realistically where we should be at. But again, the market was just so hot and everything was just selling that we're like, we're gonna give it a shot. Fortunately, it didn't work, but we did sell it right before Christmas, which is nice.
Yeah.
So I was able to get that last bit to put me up in put me over.
So
But,
so all anybody that listens to this, just think about this.
But
Okay.
what's crazy is remember those every time they announced the interest rate hikes last year, on one of those days they announced the hikes that morning. I had 6 showings that afternoon, and then the next day I had 4 people calling into me saying they're going to put it under contract. They got so afraid of that interest rate hike that all of a sudden I had 4 people trying to give me a contract.
Right.
So I was like,
They're like trying to get it right in.
I'm like, where were y'all like 6 months ago when the price was 100,000 over?
Yeah. So
But
here I am. I'm going to preach a little bit.
Soapbox.
Soapbox time.
soapbox.
So, okay. So it's true though. Veteran-owned business, small business in general. Okay. Things go up and down.
Oh yeah.
Economy goes up and down. We have alerts. We have speculation. You know that. People panic.
Yeah.
We've seen people panic with toilet paper. We've seen them, people panic with food, right? It's like, oh, food prices are all going up. Shelves are half empty. And we all know everything's a little shaky. We know that. But think about your local small businesses. If you cut them off when times are tough, they're not going to be there when things get better. That's what you got to keep supporting them if you want them to stay there. If you don't want them to stay there, then don't support them. But obviously we want to.
Can I get on a soapbox?
You can. That's one of my favorite. We got a soapbox.
Little
Yes.
soapbox.
Wow.
Little soapbox. We're talking about local. Okay, so local. Local means Sierra Vista, right?
Yeah, in Hereford, because I'm in Hereford.
But here,
Yeah, we got to count Hereford too.
So that being said, I don't try not to talk down on anyone, but here's the thing about Sierra Vista and Arizona. We actually have 2 MLSs. Well, there's more MLSs, but there's 2 multiple listing services in Arizona. Basically, all of Arizona, and then Tucson. Tucson has their own MLS and their own agents, right? They come down here and list properties down here, not knowing anything about Sierra Vista. They come down here with their agents, their buyers. They pick up local people and stuff like that. These agents, again, they're from Tucson. They have no
Gotcha.
idea anything about down here in Sierra Vista, but they try to sign. As soon as someone calls them up, says, "Hey, I'm interested in your property," right? They'll be like, "Oh, do you have a realtor?" That's one of the first things we always get told because you don't want to compete against someone else.
Right.
Most of these realtors from Tucson, that's the first question, and they'll try to get you to sign a contract with them, just to work with them. Most agents down here in Sierra Vista, because we have to work with each other, all right? We're not Tucson, we're not Phoenix. At some point in time, I'm going to work with every single agent in Sierra Vista. There's only, couldn't tell you, but we're very close. We see each other at dinner. We see each other at Pioneer. We see each other in the stores. We see each other at meetings and all these events that we're always supporting. So we work with each other a lot more, which means we have to be on our best behavior with clients, right?
Mhm.
Which means we don't take advantage of our clients. We don't try to sign them onto a client thing, a contract right away. Instead, down here, we try to instruct our clients on, hey, this is why I may be a good fit for you. And if I'm not a good fit for you, believe me, I may fire myself from you because I may not want to work with you. I had a realtor yesterday ask me if I wanted to work with someone from her. She was trying to refer me, and I'm like, honestly, no. It sounds like too much of a headache. I don't got the time for that. And I need the business, but I was like, it's just, that's what it is. You know, we want to make sure that our people stay here and they're working with people that are local here. Whether that's me or someone else,
As long as we keep it local. Yeah.
If we keep it local here in Sierra Vista, it'll make everyone's life easier, including yours as a client. Because I'm telling you, the Tucson agents, they really don't care about you, and they don't know much about you.
Well,
They
I
don't
take
know
it
about
even
Sierra
a step
Vista.
further,
Yeah.
and this is a reality. So if you're working, we have real estate agents in Sierra Vista
Mhm.
that come to our store.
Yeah.
And my wife builds them a basket, and
Yeah.
they give these baskets to their clients.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're like, it's like a thank you for
Tucson.
buying a home. That brings business to us.
Yes.
Locally.
My closing
Somebody
gifts,
from Tucson
they're not doing
is not going to come to Ruby's Divine Chocolates and say, I want to get a gift basket for my client.
Yes.
So the money that it's all staying local
It
is what I'm
stays.
trying to say.
Yes.
You buy a home here with a real estate agent here. That real estate agent is buying from Ruby's. Ruby's is buying from Eric,
Yeah.
and and it's staying local, and we're supporting each other that way.
Well, the other thing is, like, for my closing gifts, I use Bianca Myers photography. So I give out a photo shoot. My thinking on that is, you just bought a brand new house. You may be a new family, an old family, depending on where you're at. But when was the last time someone got photographed? Like, you went and got a photo shoot with your wife,
Mhm.
a professional photo shoot that you can hang up, right? That's my thing. So we do that. And
And that's another local
and that's a
business
local,
that
and
you're
it's
supporting.
And Chris has a question. So it's for buying, that's wrong. Signing the contract, selling, I get. So here's the thing about selling that you got to take another effect. Like I said, the MLS is in Tucson, which means that property that when they list it here, if a Tucson agent comes down here and lists a property, chances are it'll only show up in the Tucson MLS. That's the only place it's going to show up in, which means all the other Sierra Vista agents that are not in Tucson MLS, because we have to pay to get into that. A lot of us are, but just be honest, a lot aren't, because it's a lot of money to get into that Tucson MLS. We're not going to see that property at all because it's in that Tucson MLS. It's not in our We Serve MLS down here. All right. So that is that's one of the issues when you do go to selling, is that you're only going to be limiting yourself to that Tucson market. Now, granted, most clients and most people, they go onto Zillow, right? That's where everyone uses and finds their properties. That goes to Zillow. Zillow will have it, but then they call me or another real estate, like, hey, can you look up this property? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I go onto my MLS, because that's what I use, look up the property, can't find it. All right, now I got to go to Zillow, right? Now I go to Zillow, all right, I find the property, and if it's listed in that Tucson MLS, right? Because I'm not in the Tucson MLS, I cannot get reimbursed for selling that property. I have to get permission from that broker to compensate me to buy that house.
Wow.
They can say no, and they can keep it strictly to Tucson agents, which again, now you're limiting your market. So selling, again, probably not the best to have a Tucson agent.
Sounds like a real estate mafia.
A little bit.
No, real estate.
Now,
I mean, it just popped in my head, but
It-
it kind of sounds like a little bit of a mafia thing going on.
Thanks, Eric, for tagging Bianca Myers Photography. Yeah, that's who I use. I use for all my.
Oh, did he join us? Oh, really? Okay, great.
Yeah, Zippy. So Zippy says he does inlay cutting boards. Yep, for an agent. Yeah.
Good job.
There's so many ideas I've done. My one is I like the photography
Mhm.
because my twins can't, you know.
Yeah.
But
No, that
we
and
do
it,
lots of.
it's
lots
a
of
big
photo
thing.
ones
It's a
with them.
big thing to have.
Yeah.
You know, again, that circle of money going in locally
Stays local.
stays local
Yeah.
and helps each other. Businesses stay afloat sometimes. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, sometimes you can make that big. With small businesses, a little bit
Helps.
makes a big
a
difference.
little, just like
A little
just
bit.
a little bit could cover 3, 4, 5, 6 months of ads.
It can change
that-
whether you.
And that ads is what is going to bring in more business.
It can literally change whether you
You
stay
know?
open or not.
It can.
I mean, just the
Change whether or
difference.
not you have a roof over your head, food in your belly.
I mean, I don't know. People don't realize you know at our store you can have a bad day, and I've had it happen personally. My wife runs a store, but I've had it happen. I had a day where I didn't have hardly anybody come in that day, and one of the realtors came in with her boyfriend at the end of the day. Said, "Yep, I'm here to buy a couple gifts for my." Boom! All of a sudden, I had a good day.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I just made my whole day. That one person coming in that made the difference between a really bad day and a good day. That's how big of an impact each of us have with all the local businesses. I mean, I don't care if it's one of the local restaurants, a real estate agent, one of the retail stores, photography, anything. One, or somebody selling keto drinks. Sure. I have my doctor's appointment today. Okay. Now I was off the keto for the 2 weeks I was on a trip. I'm back drinking. Plus I did the yard work help too, I think. But dude, I'm down. I know it doesn't look like it. You're still looking at the fat belly.
I'm not looking at that.
You're looking at the fat belly, but
We're going to the gym.
I dropped legitimately another 5 pounds.
Nice, congrats.
So the keto drink I'm drinking that he has.
Saying. No, I'm just saying.
I dropped another 5. I know you can't tell looking at me, but
You can't tell, but can you feel it when you put pants on? Can you feel it when you're moving around and stuff? All right then.
And the doctor's scale doesn't lie.
I mean,
Well,
sometimes
maybe
it does.
sometimes it does.
I'm pretty sure it was lying this morning for my newborn.
Yeah, but no, I was down another 5 pounds, dude.
Congrats.
So I'm working on it.
I remember those keto days.
Yeah. Well, this the nice thing. I don't do the keto diet. Oh hell no, I ain't doing a keto diet. I like my pasta. I like my breads. All this stuff. I maybe cut down on some of my carbs, but with his drinks,
You could drink this, go into ketogenesis without into ketosis without going through.
That's what I like about it. So and what I do.
I have to look into it.
Yeah.
I know we've talked.
And what I do is now I don't drink soda hardly at all.
Every now and then.
So now, because I
Red
primarily I take his drinks to work because I still work on post. Where I used to go, I don't drink this stuff very much.
Yeah. Water.
Yeah, I don't like water. It's fun. I hardly ever drink water. People always, it cracks me up. I'm 65. I'm going to be 66 soon. And people are like, oh, you got to drink a gallon of water to stay alive every day. I haven't drank water my whole life. I'm not dead yet.
My uncle's pretty similar. Probably not as good a shape as you, to be honest. But he drinks soda like ridiculously. And he's gotten to the point where I think if he starts drinking water, he might end up dying. Because it's going to like change out the oil type thing like that.
Right. That's like in the old days, the guys, like I worked construction in my 20s. They drink beer all day.
Oh God!
Those back then, it was on the job. You're out there building a house, working in the hot sun. They had coolers of beer, and they drank beer in the morning, in the afternoon, and when they went home at night. And you think if they ever quit drinking that beer, they were gonna die. No, but
I think there was a question.
But no, but I take it to work where I used to get thirsty, and I'd end up going and buying a soda, right? And now I have a keto drink, so I'm not getting the sugar. I'm getting the keto. What's the word?
Ketosis.
Ketosis.
You get the stinky breath.
I don't think so. Do I have bad breath?
No, you don't get a stinky breath from this one.
And they taste good. Yeah. I still the green apple is my favorite by far. Anyway,
I'll leave you one on Monday on your desk up front.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah. And when you price it out for what you're buying, it's like, going and buying an energy drink, pretty much the same cost, pretty much. Keto is muy bueno. Yeah, I ain't doing the keto diet. Nope. I like my pasta. I like my breads. I mean, I'll cut back a little bit, but I ain't cutting it out. Nope.
Yeah, we did. Went to keto for a while. I actually enjoyed it. Once you get into ketosis, that feeling that you get, that mindset, everything, and then once you're on the diet, I love my morning coffee with the butter and stuff. It was so good back then. Yeah. Now I just don't got time. I got twin 4-year-olds and then a 7-month-old, so I just ain't got the time to do ketosis and get prep for it.
Well, you got the stuff. He got stuff you can put in coffee too. That's real good.
Yeah.
It's like a powder.
Yeah.
Ketones and collagens.
Yeah. Like the
you just have to stir it good.
Yeah.
Use a frother.
Bulletproof, but your own style. It's same-
it's a
but-
different but somewhat similar.
In the
Yeah.
same concept, yeah.
So if you're looking to buy a house
Or sell a house.
or sell a house,
Almost there.
buy or sell a house, we have a veteran right here that has worked hard to get here. He passed the test. That's the key. He had to pass he had to pass 2 tests, college, and then he has to take classes. Actually, a lot more work than I realized.
It's a lot. And that's just to get in. Once you're in, then you gotta start working on your business cards, you gotta work on your Facebook, you gotta work on meeting people,
Yeah.
getting out there, you gotta learn how to write a CMA, write a contract, write this.
And
all
I'll
of
tell you what,
it's so
if
much.
you're renting, talk to this guy.
If you're renting right now, so rent right now is
Ridiculous.
ridiculous.
So
House prices are ridiculous.
they are, but
Everything's
still, it drives me crazy. So my daughter, who graduated from Flagstaff, whatever that university's up there.
Mhm. NAU?
Yes, thank you, NAU. And so she's in Phoenix area now, working. She's been working there for over a year. Decent job. Her little 2-bedroom apartment.
Don't even look at the house prices up there.
2 little bedroom apartment cost her $500 a month more than my 2,000 plus square foot home with an acre, with a second building, with a mother-in-law quarters and a second garage and a swimming pool. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous to rent. I mean, it's sad. It's totally criminal and sad. I'm on another soapbox because this is terrible. I mean, when I was that age, starting off in life, you went and got an apartment because it was cheap.
Yeah.
And you worked at $3.65 an hour. Yes, that's what I started off out back then. But you rented an apartment for $200 a month, and you were able to visualize.
Yeah.
You know, I could save money and someday buy my own home.
Now,
You can't visualize that when you're paying ridiculous rent.
I think most apartments down here are in the 750 plus, and 750 you're looking probably don't want to lock all the doors and things.
So it's always
My
a good.
uncle, he's probably about $1,000 in a decent apartment.
So
houses, I think the cheapest house rents what I'm seeing right now is around $1,200 a month.
So I'm going to assume that this is true. You can tell me if I'm wrong. But if I was a young person in a situation like that, and I could talk to a guy like Joshua Mayer,
Right.
who's a professional real estate agent, say, I would like to get out of this situation and maybe look, can you help me
What's
plan?
the first thing I would do? So
Yeah.
the first thing I would do is try to send them to a lender. First thing I'm gonna do is send them to a lender, because honestly, what I can do, I find the houses, and that's what I'm gonna do. Now, what a lender will do, right? Depending on the lender, they will take you into their system, right, and kind of look at all your dirty laundry. Depending on what it is, they're not going to run you through like scenarios, right? So say you have a lot of stuff in debt, right? Like most young people do. So they're going to tell you like, all right, you got a lot of debt. You also don't have a lot of credit history, because that's what you need. You need that history. So they'll tell you like, all right, open up this credit card. Don't use it. Just open it, hide it, like throw it away. Just have it. Pay off this one, then pay off this one. And they'll kind of like start running you through scenarios to start building up your credit. So that's the first thing that we got to do is you got to build up the credit, you know.
And they'll work with you with a plan. Maybe you can't buy a home this month.
Exactly. They'll give you a
Yeah.
plan, you know. The lender that I use again is my wife. She works over at Cross Country
Oh,
Mortgage.
There you go.
There
You got the real estate agent and the lender working together side by side.
Yeah,
Pretty
Chris,
good
definitely.
team.
Right
Yeah.
now, it's still a seller's market. It's
Yeah.
a huge seller's market, no matter where you're at. I ran some numbers before I came in here. It's still, it's starting to work its way to buyer, but we're still far.
But
away.
I think it's important for them to realize that they can work towards getting out of that situation.
I have a client,
Maybe not immediately, but maybe next year.
I have a client that I've been working with for over a year to get her up there, and you know,
Yeah.
I touch base with her every few months.
Great.
They're like, hey, are we still going?
And maybe
good?
maybe
stuff
you
like
can
that.
introduce them to some different options.
Yeah.
You might tell them, hey, look, yes, you're not going to go and buy that $400,000 or $500,000 home right now, you know, but maybe I can get you into a starter home.
Yeah, we'll start you a starter home, and then, you know, maybe in a few years.
And it'll still be less than your rent,
depending on it, yeah.
depending on all the circumstances. And then, you know, maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, and we got to wrap it up. It's time.
Oh, wow.
Wow. We
Oh,
killed
wow.
that hour. Hey, well, thanks for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
And thanks for joining the Veteran
Yeah.
Owned Business Network. That's what, and
I'm
helping
here
us.
every Monday morning. I open the Warrior Healing Center. I'm one of the volunteers, so I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Oh, there
I'm
you
here.
go.
I'm here
Another
actually.
volunteer.
I'm here quite a little bit often. What's up, Laird? How you doing, bud?
Another reason why he deserves your work. He's a volunteer here at the Warrior
Yeah.
Healing Center.
And then Mike said, if you don't get a pre-approval, like, I don't know, you can come and say, I want to look at this house. I'm like, okay, cool. What are you pre-approved for? You know, you can be looking at a $500,000 house, but you only qualify for 200,000. So now you're starting to waste our time and your time, and that just gets to be annoying. So we got to get that pre-qual first, get you in, just figure out what you're at. You know,
Nice. Another
And then
great show.
If you're selling, same thing.
All right, Eric. So we're done for tonight. I'm back. You're back. We had a good time. Right? Right?
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
And we got a show next week.
Yeah, you know who's on it?
I don't. You do.
I know.
Oh, wait, you told me. Wait, no. I can't tell you.
Well, you just tune in next week and find out.
Yeah, that's right. So we do have a guest lined up for next week. It's the one I find real interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that one. I mean,
He finds all of them interesting.
I find everybody interesting, but you
Finds them
know,
all interesting.
I do have my personal preferences. You
Yeah,
know
it's
that.
ideal compliance. He finds each one interesting.
Okay. Yes. Well, sometimes I just learn. Like tonight, I learned a lot about stuff that I didn't know about real estate, and the veteran loan thing was interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to sign off now. Next week, I got to say, next Thursday, me and Eric are going to be doing a little bit of sacrifice, but we're going to be here, right, Eric? You know what the sacrifice is, right?
Showing up.
What's next Thursday? What happens next Thursday on April 27th? Yeah. The Bears, think Bears, think Bears, think Vikings.
You're starting football already?
No, the draft.
Oh, the draft.
The draft is next
Oh,
Thursday
geez.
night, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what time it starts? 5 o'clock right here at the Warrior Healing Center. So be our guest and get on the show and tell me who our first round pick for the Vikings is. We don't care about the Bears, who they pick.
Because we got a ton of picks. Thank you, Carolina Panthers.
I don't want to hear
You
it.
guys got picks this year.
We got a lot of picks.
Broncos
How many,
fans,
how
I'm like,
many you got total?
Oh, we got quite a
I
few.
think
It's amazing what people will give up for a first round draft
I think
pick.
it was like 6 or 7 altogether, something like
Oh
that.
my gosh.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the Broncos aren't in the draft for like the next millennium. It
Yeah.
seems like.
All right. So
Go Bears. Bye
Until
bye.
then, tune in next week to find out exactly who is our guest. Your heads will be in the clouds when you find out who it is. But until then, like and comment and share this video so that you can see this one, past ones, and future ones. And maybe, just maybe, Robert will make it on time next week.
I'll be here. I'm committed. I'll be here.
He is committed.
All right.
5 to 10.
Thank you.
There you go. All right. Take care, everyone. Talk to you soon.
All right.
And we